our part 2 of Clever Class Scheduling. We're going to focus today on your new season registration. And if this is not something you're already thinking about, I want to remind you that it is time to think about that. Which is why what Amanda said is that we're approaching what we call March Madness, is when this year collides with next year, right? Everything's going on with this year, which is maybe, I don't know, getting ready for recitals, dance competitions, everything like that. At the same time, you're planning for next year. So it's February the 15th. So we're well ahead of March Madness, and we can really help ourselves by spending time on this now so that you can kind of get things settled and put away. And then when you hit March, you can, it won't be as crazy of a time for you. And you'll be more thoughtful in your approach to getting your dancers back registered for next season. Okay, so I'm going to dive in. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat bar, and we will get to those at the end. All right, so just a little bit about me. I still own Tiffany's Dance Academies here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We are home to 5 locations of studios. I've had up to 7 locations of studios with about 2,500 students a year. So I've been making schedules for up to 600 classes a week for about 24 years. And I've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't. I'm also the founder of the Twinkle Star Dance program and Dance the Dream. So I do a lot of things in my day, in my year, but primarily I'm a dance studio owner, just like you guys. And I'm excited today to talk to you about some great ways to schedule classes and get your dancers back in your studio. Okay, so just some common class scheduling mistakes. We talked about this last time, but if you weren't with us, I want to remind you. First one is too many variations on your menu, right? So if your classes, there isn't sort of a simple menu. There's so many different types of classes, specifically for certain age ranges, that is very hard to schedule and is also very confusing for the parent. Not offering complimentary classes back to back so that dancers can stay for more than one class on Tuesdays if that's the only day they have. Also, too many leveled classes. We talked about this more in depth in our last session, but I'll just mention that we use our age ranges as levelers. So instead of saying, for the 5 to 7 level 1 and 5 to 7-year-olds level 2, we just have a 5 to 7 and a 6 to 8. We found that a leveled class under the age of 9 has a finite amount of dancers that can join that class. And for these age ranges at your studio, you want to make sure that you can take in dancers at wherever they are in their dance journey. Okay, not having classes on weekends. Saturdays are really big. Sundays can also be really big, depending on your area. Company classes taking up your valuable prime time. This is sort of a long-standing issue that I've seen a lot of studios struggle with. And these are parents that feel like they are the most important things because they pay more, probably, than other of your rec dancers. And you have relationships with these people. And so you want to make them happy, of course. However, they can sort of hold your schedule hostage, if you will, and take up all that valuable prime time, which is probably like 4:30 to 6:30, something like that, depending on where you are. So making sure that's a big mistake that is common. And lastly, not creating a buzz around your schedule for new season. So you can create this great schedule with my tips and all this stuff, but then when you get to your new season, whether it's in July, August, September, if you're not making people like show up on this day, mostly online, don't make them come to your studio. Please don't do that. But if you don't tell them this is the day it's going on, registration's going on, this is why you have to register, this is the class you need to register, basically creating this big need and a motivation to register, that's a big miss. And people may just go, oh yeah, I forgot to register, but now, oh shoot, now we have a conflict with soccer. I guess we'll dance next year, right? So that's a big mistake. Okay, so we're going to dive into clever class scheduling and new season registration. Okay, the first thing you should be doing right now is to prepare to make your schedule is to take inventory of the classes that you have right now. So I always recommend that you go to your class schedule. It may be like if you have studio director, it's not going to be in a format that's easy for a spreadsheet, right? So you're going to have to copy that over. If you have one from last year, because you did this already, then you're ahead of the game. But if you haven't done it, go into a Google spreadsheet or Excel, whatever, and say you're going to go to Monday and you're going to list the classes that you have. And then you're going to put the enrollments next to them. Okay. So you're going to take inventory on what you have. And that will help you know what you need. So if I'm looking at my Danville schedule and I'm putting my classes on and I look at Monday and I'm seeing, oh, we had a really full class at 3:30 for my Twinkle Star 3/4s. Then right next to it, I will either do leaving my 3/4s at 3:30 because I know that was a popular time, or I'll adjust that up to a Twinkle Star 4/5 so that those parents can stay. So in any case, year to year, you're not just throwing on in the entire list of classes. You have to be able to serve the dancers that you have. So there may be one year where you have 10 sections of Twinkle Star 4/5s. That means you're going to need a lot of mini classes, right? But maybe you don't have very many juniors. So you're like, okay, I don't really need that many basics. So let's take that down. So take inventory. And at that point, you're going to look where that prime time is. It's going to be very apparent to you what prime time is. Okay. Now, if you have a company group at 5:30 that has 5 16-year-olds in it, then you're going to say, well, there's only 5 kids. Yes, because that class couldn't take anybody else, right? So just making sure that you're looking at the inventory and sort of seeing where your patterns are within the scheduling. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to do, and nobody really wants to do this because it's like, I don't really want to know if a teacher's not coming back or whatever it is, but you need to get in touch with your staff. And I'm not saying, oh, hi, and how are you? They look like they're doing fine. I'm sure that she's going to teach next year. You don't know that. So I would take something like a teacher wish list, which would be like, hey, send me an email for next year if you had all of your wishes come true, like things you're teaching, days you're teaching. Please let me know some insights as to what you're interested in doing. Okay. Now, I always say I can't make all wishes come true, but for me, that gave me sort of an idea of where they're feeling good about their teaching and where they feel like they're lacking or where they feel like they need to move up and, at the job, things like that. And then maybe they would tell me I'm moving to New York City or something like that then. And then I would know, oh, I need to replace this person. Okay. Because this is so important because when you start to make your schedule, you might say on Mondays, I know I have Miss Jenny and Miss Jenny teaches these things. Right. And so if I don't have Miss Jenny on Monday, then maybe the schedule changes a bit. We hope that it doesn't, but we know that it does, it can. So I would also maybe just schedule a few quick Zooms with them or in person where you can just say, hey, tell me about your year. What about next year? And then at that point, maybe be prepared to tell them where I really like you is to stay the schedule that you have. Or I see you on these 3 days. Does that work? You know what I mean? So make sure that you're really reaching out to your existing staff. Then as soon as if they can tell you they're not coming back, then you'll start your hiring. So right now you should have an ad out for teachers, even if you feel like you don't need them. Right now is a good time to do it. And at that point, if you do get someone hired right now that you don't need until summer, you can start their training, which I think is a good idea. I have 2 teachers right now that, I have that are shadowing that I know are taking over then in July. Okay. So when we talk about creating our schedule, the first thing we want to do is keep it simple. What do you mean keep it simple? Well, you're going to have to, and this is not necessarily on this, but you really have to go back to your classes, the descriptions, the types of classes, and try to simplify it. Try, if you're looking at it and you're like, yeah, for our 3 and 4-year-olds, I've got tumble tots, I've got tap and jazz, I've got just ballet, I've got creative movement. I've thrown everything against the wall to see what's stuck, right? But the truth is, when you have all those different classes, it's hard to know which ones will be successful at which time because you can't compare it. So if I can look, if obviously for me, all my preschool classes are Twinkle Star 3-4s, period. There is no other option for them. That's the type of class that we have for that age group. Okay. And that's what the parents know. And there's no choice with the parents, which is very good. But I can look and see, okay, I had one at 4:00, one at 6:30, one at 5:30. Which ones were the most popular? So that's going to be important as well. So try to consolidate your classes in a way that they're simple for the parent to understand and simple for you to plug them into your schedule. At those complementary classes, if they're taking a mini jazz, maybe there's a mini ballet right after for that age group, something like that. Avoid the levels. I would take all your levels off under the age of 8. Use age. You want to maximize those prime times. So make sure when you're looking at your schedule that you're saying, okay, on Wednesday, I have to make sure that I put all my classes that can onboard new dancers in this prime slot for 3:30 to 6:30. I'm going to have to move my company classes a little later than that or before that. And then, of course, looking at that Saturday and Sunday and making sure that you're taking advantage of those big days in your studio where kids can come all day long. Okay, so when you simplify your menu, you went in a clear and obvious progress path. Okay, so here's a funny thing. Too many choices equals no choice. So they did a study that said, if you give a person a menu with 10 entrees on it, and they have to pick one, they're going to pick that one, but they're going to think, I chose the hamburger, but I think I wanted the pizza, but oh, well, I had to make a choice. But if you give them a menu with 3 choices and they choose the hamburger, they're like, I'm feeling good about my choice because I didn't like the other 2. Does that make sense? So same thing with dance classes for parents with the kids under the age of 9. They really don't know. They really, really don't know what their kid wants to do. They're asking you. And if you say, well, we have all these different choices, when Susie goes to acro ballet for 3 and 4-year-olds and doesn't really like it, they're going to think, oh, it's the class. Maybe there was another class she could take, but I can't come on that other day. Does that make sense? So making sure that you make it easy for people to register and easy then for you to schedule. So you're not like, but I can't put tumble tot and this and this and this. You don't need all that. You just need one type of class for that age range that you know will serve them. Okay, so here's a sample menu of classes for our studios and for a lot of our subscribers uses this path as well. You can see Twinkle Babies 2-3, 3-4, 4-5. And then we go into our minis. Mini show stars jazz 5-7, 6-8. The junior jazz 7-9, 8-10. So that's kind of how we're doing it. And then you could insert jazz, ballet, tap, whatever you wanted into those minis and juniors. So if I have a dancer who's brand new to me and they're 5 years old to start in, let's say July, then I'm going to recommend the 5 to 7 class. If they've been in a 5-7, they're going to probably move up to a 6-8. So those overlapping ages are really important. I recommend that you spend a lot of your time creating your menu of classes in that age range right now. I want you to focus on that. As they get a little bit older, it's a little more complicated, right? Because maybe they're in their company program, all that. But do that first and then create what happens after that. That's what I would recommend. Just more bang for your buck and your time right now is to really focus on that. Okay, so here's the back-to-backs. These are, obviously a lot of you might already have these, but it's the power of suggestion, right? So someone says, how many classes do we take each week? And you can say, well, most of our dancers take 2. And here's a way to take 2. You can either take 1 on Monday and Tuesday, or you could take 2 on one day. So mini show stars is 45 minutes, back-to-back. So you can see how those ages run. And what I would do is maybe a Monday where you have those kind of classes. And then maybe on another day, you have just a single class for each age group. So if some people can't stay that long, they could at least take one for each, if that makes any sense. So you want to kind of alternate your strategy there. Okay, so levels create a barrier to register. You want to be able to add these dancers year round within reason, I understand. So if you have a level 2, that's a finite amount of dancers. Mostly that's going to be dancers who are dancing with you right now could only move into that group. And you're like, oh, it's okay because there's like 12 in there. I know, but every time I ever did a level 2 for ages 6 of them stayed, 5 of them stayed. And then now I can't really put anybody else in there, but I need to because I need to fill that class, and that class is at 5 o'clock, and it's totally messing up my way to increase my enrollment because I know 5 o'clock is a prime time. So anyway, I really, really encourage you to take off those levels and keep the ages going. Okay, so let's talk now about getting a plan in place for getting our new season registration, creating a buzz around it, getting people back into your studio when this year ends. So the first thing you want to do is set your registration date for the first day that it's going to open. You're going to make your schedule viewable 1 to 2 weeks prior to that day and create your best deal for that first registration day. Okay, so here's a sample timeline. There's a lot that goes into registration, depending on what programs you have at your studio. But on March 10th, I'm going to give my dancer evaluations to my teachers. And they then have time to fill those out. And then on April 10th, they're going to give the dancer evaluations to our dancers. On April 15th, our new season schedule will go live. It'll be viewable only. We won't be able to register them, but they're going to be able to see it and plan their attack. It's kind of like if you're registering for courses in college, you can put them in your cart before the time to register, and then you hope you get to check out, right? So same thing, they get to sort of plan their attack. And then on April 24th, my new season registration will go live at 9 a.m. for online registration, and people can call it. We don't really have it where they can walk in. If that's something you still do, that's fine. But that is that's what our timeline is. And you can kind of look at that and see what would work for yourself. Okay. So here is just an image. These are our Twinkle Star Dance. We use them at Tiffany's Dance Academy as well, but for our subscribers and people in our program, and they are a part of our program. And you print them out and you can customize these. So they fold like this. So this is the inside. You can see the Twinkle Star Dance evaluation on the left column has all the different terms and things that they have learned, right, throughout the year. And teachers can star, check, or do whatever they want, or leave it blank. It's fine. And then you see teacher comments down there. Small little area for something very positive. Okay. Parents can't handle any constructive feedback. So let's just leave that alone. We'll just let them, live in this world. So we're just going to put positive comments down there. Susie is a joy to have in class. Okay. Then you can see on the other side, you've got summer camp graphic. Here's our summer camp that's going on. And then you've got the new season classes. So from there, I can check off if they're in a Twinkle Baby 2-3, I would check off they're going to Twinkle Baby 3-4. See, this is where this simple class and menu comes in handy. Otherwise, they're like, what do I take next, right? So make it easy. And then it says right there when the registration begins, go to the website. All of that is there on the front. When it folds, it has their name, and it's just a really cute it's a report card kind of, but it's more of a class recommendation, a little feedback and insights to what they've learned. At the same time, I'm doing performing company recruitment. So I am in this, if they're in a Twinkle Star 4 or 5, I'm going to check out performing company premiere, like check us out, come to my meeting, find out about that. And then I'm also going to be going on to my socials. So I'm going to have my targeted ads. I've got a program called Get More Students. So I can do sort of an email blast to dancers like that are existing that say, hey, registration starts on this day. And I go back to anyone who did a trial. So this is a concerted effort, you guys, and it needs to happen mid-March, early April, if you're really going to get the most out of this, because the minute they leave your studio after recital, they're gone. It's really hard to get them back. So you want to market to them while they're here. So creating a buzz. So you want to use a graphic, okay? Explain promotion and link to website. So here we go. April 1st, we're going to save the date. Yay. An email goes out. Registration's going to happen. April 10th, save the date. Dancer evaluations are due in class. We get another reminder on the 20th, the 23rd, and the day of. So sometimes I'm doing some consulting with studio owners and I'll say, oh, we didn't give much registration. I'm like, okay, well, what did you do to create the marketing? Oh, we just said it's open, and it's not enough because they didn't get that email or they lost it. So you can kind of see we're really, really making sure that we make several attempts to make sure that our parents get this information about new season registration. Okay, so let's talk about some trends. So year-round classes, of course, I'm the year-round classes spokesperson. We run our classes from July 1 through June 30th. We have been doing this for 15 years. Probably only did the first 5 years the other way. And I have a lot of studio owner friends and colleagues that do the same and live to tell and are like, why did I do this sooner? And it's just something I want to touch on, but I think it's really important that you want to make sure you're keeping your tuition revenue the same each year or growing each month. And by taking a summer where there's no revenue like that, you really kind of lose all the profits from the year before. Summer camps are great. I love summer camps, making fun summer camps. I think at this point, everyone kind of is on the summer camp train as far as like, we have to have fun themes and don't make them too long and things like that. And I think they can exist. Summer camps can exist with your year-round schedule. Also, tuition packages. So we actually now offer our tuition as a package. So it includes our leotard or dancewear, not their shoes, but it includes their tights. It also includes some of our branded marketing or branded materials like dancer cases and little cute dance bags and sparkle bears, things like that. Parents love that, and we were able to increase our tuition to a place that matched our expenses. Right after COVID, teachers need to make more money, all those things. We charge a registration fee to cover all that. And having that dress code really then says you need this leotard, but guess what? You're going to get it because you're going to pay this registration fee, and this is how much it is per month. So those are some trends we're seeing that are working really well and help elevate your revenue. Okay, so let's talk about registration day. We offer something called the kitchen sink promotion on one day only, guys. That's going to be our best offer for the whole year. And then from that one day, we're going to tier our promotions down. If that first day you start with $10 off, guess what? It's going to be really hard to ever offer anything more than that. It's going to be like, I only got $10 off, and now you're offering someone a free car. You have to make sure that whatever you're starting with is something really big. And you might say, oh, that seems like you're giving away a lot. I am, but I'm getting a lot. If I can get 60% of my student base back in 1 or 2 days for July 1 or August 1 or whatever that is, that's huge peace of mind, right? That's huge. So it is worth offering certain things. We're going to talk about that now. Okay, so one day only best offer. And this is something you can decide what you want to go into the kitchen sink. You can call it whatever it is. It's your best offer. So we offer a waived registration fee, which is $49 to $69, depending on continuing families, new families. We're going to include their dancewear, leotard, and tights, and then their dancer kit, which is their passport book, their dancer case or backpack, sometimes a sparkle bear. So it's a whole bunch of stuff, and they don't have to pay registration fee. Every other day of the year, they're going to have to pay registration fee to get all of this. And they're happy to do it because then they don't have to go on and order these things. And the value to them is huge because all of that stuff in retail is going to be like $100. So it's still a good value for them. We can more than cover the material costs on our end with the getting that registration fee. So you want to make sure you're marketing this and make sure they know what this is. But last year with our kitchen sink promos, I think we got back 58% of each of our locations on that one day. And then the second day, we took that registration to sort of half off. So we just tiered that down, and we continued to get a lot of registration. And then it kind of goes quiet for a while, honestly, until you get to June, July. And that's when you don't want to panic and like, no one's registered, So this is why this is a really important thing to do. Okay. Registration day best practices. We do it either Tuesday or Wednesday. Why? So I can tier the registration throughout the rest of the week and we don't hit the weekend. We also have all hands on deck with all of our admins, everybody that day. Drop what you're doing. You're answering the phone, you're answering texts, you're answering emails. Your most important thing to do is register people, answer their questions. And then, of course, having an FAQ that you can send. If your phone's ringing off the hook, I want this class, whatever it is, you can send out that FAQ. Here, read this, and then let me know if you have any questions. So I think that's an important way to have a best registration day. Okay. So after they've registered, you may need to, if you're offering dress code, have the fittings, maybe have them come to the studio, whatever that is, or pick their size. They can come in for a studio tour. They're going to get their class reminders when that class is going to start. And then just figure out when you're going to distribute this promo, how are they going to get their dancer kit, right? When do they get it? They don't need to get it before you start. So you have time to then order your product or whatever it is. And maybe they come in for a day that's an open house and they pick up their stuff. But most likely they might get it the day they just come to the studio. So that's wonderful too. And they're going to get so excited about having all their stuff. And regardless if you're going to offer stuff, we just know it works for us. It works for our franchises. It works for our subscribers. Even if you're not doing that, you want to still find that best promo for that day. Okay, so looking ahead to March Madness, here's a sort of checklist of things you want to start thinking about in preparation, getting for the end of the year into next year. Looking ahead to some spring sessions. So at a certain point, you may not be able to add new students to your studio. But that's, we have to figure out how to onboard new students every month. So having a little spring session, maybe it's March that runs through, May or whatever that is a good idea. Maybe you're adding a daddy-daughter dance, whatever that is. You want to make sure you're getting all your rehearsals and things going for that. Recital ticket sales. So we do recital tickets at the end of March, and we do registration towards the end of April. I like having those things a little bit far apart so that the parents are, okay, I'm doing this now, and now I'm doing this. So whatever you're doing, think about how to plan that out for them so that when you're bombarding them with, emails about do this, do that, pay this, pay that, you can kind of try to sort of spread it out a bit. You're also registering for summer camps and, of course, working on that new season registration. So it's important that you have a calendar of when these marketing emails go out. And you have to just decide where you're going to put them in your calendar and then prioritize which reminders go out at what time. So it's a lot during this time of year for everyone. So that's why it's good to be talking about it today so that you can kind of look ahead at your calendar and make that something that is doable for you and for your parents. Okay, now I'm going to have Amanda talk a little bit about our Sparkle Society, and then we'll take some questions.
Yeah, so we want to welcome you into our Sparkle Society. It's a free community of studio owners. One of the positives of being able to hop on Zoom or hop on a webinar is to get in touch with people. I know sometimes as a studio owner, it can be a little bit isolating and you feel like maybe you can't go to the studio owner down the street because they're a competitor of yours. So we want to welcome you into our community, the Sparkle Society. Each week we do a weekly newsletter where Tiffany shares different teaching tips and business strategies that she has from over 20 plus years of running multiple locations. We also do these monthly webinar series. And so we want you to stay in touch with us and be part of the Sparkle Society. That being said, we will have an upcoming webinar series in March. I would love to know too, if you want to put in the chat anything that's top of mind for you right now. I know Tiffany and I were kind of going back and forth. A lot of people are looking at competitions, maybe reevaluating what kind of events they're going to take performing companies, their performing groups to next year. So if you want to put in the chat anything, maybe some pain points that you're having right now, that might be something we can address in March or during a future webinar series. I did want to remind you, this was a 2-part series. So we had the first part on February 1st, but I'm happy to send that recording to you. It's also on our YouTube channel. If you go to Twinkle Stars Dance on YouTube and then put in, find the playlist for Sparkle Society, all of our webinars are available for you there. And then finally, I know it's great to have these monthly webinars, be part of the Sparkle Society, but we would love to see you in person at our Pinnacle Dance Conference and Retreat. This is a retreat style event. So it's a boutique event. It's not a huge, trade show floor or anything like that. It's very intimate. It's almost like Tiffany and I like to call it like a girls' weekend, where you can grab your staff, grab people that work at your studio, and just get refreshed during the summer months before you jump back into teaching, running the studio day to day, putting out all the fires that come up. So we would love to have you. We're going to be at the Ritz-Carlton in Dove Mountain, July 20th through the 21st. And you can find more information on twinklestardians.com if you go to live events and click on Pinnacle. And then that being said, we want you to stay connected to us on Facebook. We're pretty active on Facebook and Instagram, but you're welcome to also reach out to us individually via email. And we love chatting with studio owners and staying connected with all of you.
Yes, and I think with a conference, it's sort of like finding your peace, right? Finding a sense of peace before, it's going to get March Madness. You're going to go through, you have competitions, you're going to do recital, you're going to do registration, the teacher's probably going to leave, all the things. So it's that moment where you can come and just reflect on the year and get away from all of the noise and plan your next year, but in a peaceful mindset. Sometimes it's really hard to know what went well this year, what went wrong, how to fix these problems for the next season, because we don't get that moment to step away and just look at, a beautiful mountain and, and then have good conversation, of course. So, we are just right now putting together our class schedule. There's a lot of really wonderful things that we're going to be doing. There's movement classes, business classes, there's certifications. I'm going to be going more in depth on the insights of the preschool mind in a certification program there, so that your teachers and yourself understand more about the psychology of what your kids, what their brains are capable of, what their emotional states are, and then also the psychology of a dance parent. So anyway, we'd love for you to join us. Again, it's a small group feeling in a beautiful setting. So